All right, y'all, 7 o'clock. Welcome, everyone. I'm really glad that you've joined us tonight. My name is Max. I'm the Senior Community Manager at Work at Health, and I'm honored to be hosting this event tonight with Marc Lee Shannon. Now, this is Work at Health's first live concert. It's not going to be the last. But before we dive in, I want to take a moment to talk about Work at Health. We're an online evidence-based treatment program for substance use. We make it possible for people to get real compassionate care from home on their own schedules, and most importantly, without shame. We have served over 35,000 members, and we are growing and expanding across the US. But tonight, y'all, is for Ohio. This event was made possible in part by a grant from the Health Resources and Service Administration's Rural Communities Opioid Response Program. Now, because of this funding, Work at Health expanded access to medication-assisted treatment for both opioid and alcohol use disorders across 17 rural Ohio counties, helping community members get the treatment and medications they need, even when cost would have been a barrier. And this kind of support has truly changed lives. I want to shout out my colleagues Amanda and Sean from the HRSA grant team for making this possible. And just like Ohio, Marc Lee Shannon embodies that same spirit of survival, grit, and heart. Marc Lee Shannon is a Northeast Ohio singer-songwriter, author, and person in long-term recovery, whose music tells the story of everyday heroes, people who've struggled, lost, people who've gotten back up, and found their voice again. He's a veteran guitarist and multi-instrumentalist whose 30-year career has taken him from Akron to LA to Nashville, New York, and beyond. And that includes decades performing with Michael Stanley and the Resonators. He has released 4 solo albums, 2 of which we are giving out tonight, y'all, for everyone who's registered. Includes the LP Lucky 7, and includes Marc Lee's newest project, My Other Brothers, on CD. And did I mention he's an author? We are also giving away 10 copies of his book of essays, Sober Chronicles, tonight, again, for 10 lucky folks who registered for this evening event. And Marc is also the host of Recovery Talks on the Summit FM out of Akron, where he interviews musicians, business leaders, and world-class performers about their personal recovery journeys. And on a personal note, Marc Lee Shannon and I have 3 big things in common. We're both in long-term recovery. We're both born and raised in a Rust Belt city, and music is absolutely central to our recovery. I know I wouldn't be here without it. Music has carried me through some dark times and still pulls me forward. So this event, y'all, is extra special. It's when creativity, recovery, and community come together. So as Marc Lee says, steady on. Take a breath. You're exactly where you need to be tonight. Let the music and the stories of Marc Lee Shannon bring you home tonight. And with that, it's my honor to welcome Marc Lee Shannon to the stage.
Thanks, Max. I'm really honored to be here tonight. I don't really know what to say after all that really great introduction. So honored to be here. Tonight we're going to do a couple things. I'm going to play some songs, but mostly I'm going to tell you my story about my journey through recovery. And fair enough, I mean, some of it may be a little tough to hear. And if anything triggers you or you feel like you need to take a break, please feel free to just stop for a moment and just feel free to just, gather yourself and come back. But before we do that, why don't we all just do one thing together? Let's all just take a really deep breath all together. Inhale and just exhale and relax. I don't know about you, but I'm here with my friend Michael Weber. We've been working on this together. It's been a long, long road to get us here to tonight, and let's just do that one more time. Ooh, I don't know if you've been out there working today. I don't know if it's been a long day for you, but maybe you just need one more deep breath. Let's do it. Everybody, just close your eyes and just take a deep breath and let it go. And man, just relax. Like Max said, I'm a musician. I'm a songwriter. I'm also a certified peer recovery supporter in the state of Ohio. That's a licensed recovery coach. I'm a Substacker, which means that I write on Substack, and I try to write about things that are a little bit different than you see on, social media, which is, always trying to, you know, um, post us together. So I try to write about things that make you want to feel glad that you write about it. I'm a podcaster and author, but today I'd like to just tell you that I'm sober for 11 years and 9 days. And, if I could just say one thing that I'm really glad for is I'm really glad that all that stuff that happened to me, I found a way to let it go. When that memory comes to haunt me as the night gives way to dawn, my sleeping heart is woken by that lost and lonely song. I remember with a long sigh, my eyes grew full of mist, like a photograph remind me of a long forgotten wish. Let it go, let it go. Put it all behind you, let it go. Let it go, don't you know? When it circles back to find you, let it go. That's a single I put out a while ago that really was, all about me trying to find a way to verbalize just what it felt for me to just try to let go of all the things that I had been holding up in my mind that had been my burdens for all the things that I felt about my journey of recovery. But let's talk about what recovery is. SAMHSA has a definition of recovery, and it is this: it's a process of change through which an individual can improve their health and wellness and live a self directed life and strive to reach a full potential. Let's say that again. It's a process of change through which an individual can improve their health and wellness, live a self directed life, and strive to reach a full potential. Well, let's talk about my process of change. You know, I grew up in a pretty normal neighborhood, but my house was a little bit different. My house is that house on the street where people wondered, what's going on over there? Something was different. Why are those cars parked all the time? Why are the Christmas lights up in July? We lived across the street from a park, and that park was my salvation. Because when there was chaos and conflict in that house, that's where I ran to. You know, I think my parents did the best they could do, but I know this. If you don't grow up in a good garden, you don't know how to be a gardener. I had a brother, and he did his best, but you know, he had some issues with his development, and we went to parochial school, so compliance was the rule, and he just couldn't figure it out. I think today he probably would have had some special teachers, and he would have had some help. But in those days, when you weren't compliant, you were punished. He was very frustrated. And when he would come home at days, he took it out on his little brother, me. So there's all kinds of abuse in my story, and we don't need to talk about that now, but I would run away to that park. And I think a lot of ways that's where my imagination was developed. Running away. Not asking for help. When I was 11 years old, my parents sat us down and they said, we're getting a divorce. It was actually a relief. And then they said, you got to pick who you want to live with, which for an 11-year-old was a little bit strange. Then they said something that I didn't expect. They said, oh yeah, you, pointing to me, your two sisters and your brother had a different father. See, I belonged to a blended family, but I never knew it. It was a big surprise to me. You know, there's this one lady, there's always a mom in the neighborhood that's a little different. That mom. She used to say to me, you're just the little black sheep of the family, aren't you? I never knew what she meant, but now I did. All these things aren't the reason why I became an alcoholic and addict. But it did make me never want to ask for help. You know, I made up my mind right then and there. I was not gonna need your help. I would never say the three words that eventually would be the most important words for me to lead me on my path to recovery. I could not say, please help me. I wouldn't say them. I never could say them. When you're feeling down and your spirit's weak, when you slip and fall, just believe. If the morning finds you after your last call, a big empty pocket full of small, count me in if you need a step up. When you count yourself out, when you need a hand to hold, count me in. If a bad decision seems to rule your day, I'll be there to catch you fall away. And when you need a strong hand that can hold on tight, turn all the darkness into light. Count me in if you need a step up. When you count yourself out, when you need a hand to hold, count me in. When the nights surround you, when you lost your way, I'll be right there, right here. Just call my name. When you're feeling down and your spirit's weak, when you slip or fall, just believe. Count me in if you need a step up. When you count yourself out, when you need a hand to hold, count me in. Count me in. Count me in. Well, I went to live with my dad after the divorce, and things were okay, but I basically took care of myself. I was self-parented, and as it goes, you fall in with a crowd. And around the time I was about 14, I started hanging out with kids that were the bad kids. And where we were hanging out, of course, with at McDonald's. And one night somebody came up, and I was hanging out and with my jeans on with the patches, and they said, "Hey man, you want to get high?" And I didn't know what they meant, so I said, "Well, okay." And we went across the way and into the Hardesty Park, I still remember, and they rolled that stuff up, and we did that thing, and I didn't feel anything except right away I knew I needed a really good cheeseburger and some hot French fries and an orange drink. I know that's funny, but I didn't feel anything. But later that winter, my trouble cousin came over, the cousin that was a lot of fun, but you're going to be in trouble by the end of the night. And he dared me to find my dad's Cutty Sark, which is Scotch whiskey, and pour a glass that big. I know what you're thinking. There's three things I remember about that first drink. Number one, what it tastes like going down. You know where I'm going. Number two, what it tastes like coming back up. And number three, waking up on a cold bathroom floor. Now, why is that? It's because some of us, biogenetically are basically just built to handle drugs and alcohol differently. I'm a type 2 diabetic. Why is that? Well, because I inherited a biogenetic reason that I am just a predisposition for that. And I believe that with my alcoholism, that's the case too. My grandfather was an alcoholic. My dad was not. My grandfather was not a diabetic. My dad was. So I got both of those. So unfortunately, that combination came together. And if you're hip to the the disease model of addiction, that basically there's four pillars. One is it's primary. I'm not an alcoholic because I'm a diabetic. I'm an alcoholic because I have a predisposition for it, and then I behaved it. And then two is well, it's chronic, and if you don't get treatment, it's not going to go away. And three, of course, is it's progressive, gets worse. And four, it can get very worse. And more of that's coming in my story. But I just believe that some of us are built differently, and I was. So in high school there were some things I liked. Sports and music. Obviously I played sports good enough to make the teams, but wasn't really good enough to really do much. But music was different, man. Music was my thing. I was good at it, and I loved it. Sports and music, bands and songs. Sports and music, bands and songs. And I was lucky because I had a great teacher, and that teacher saw something in me that I didn't see in myself. She heard some of my songs, and one day she came to me and she said, I think you ought to enter one of those songs in a National Scholastic Writing Awards contest. And I didn't have any faith in myself, of course, because I had no confidence. And she urged me to do it, and sure enough, I won a certificate of a national awards, and I was on my way. And I enrolled eventually in a school in Hollywood, but lo and behold, somehow, by some miracle, I got accepted, and I was on my way. I was on my way to LA, and here I go. Going to LA, Hollywood, I'm going, man. Don't know what I'm doing, but I'm going. Friends say, man, get back into the pocket. Strike a match, get the fire started. Need to breathe again. Well, there ain't no sin. Taking numbers, don't know where or when. I'm getting back in the game again. Grew up on the dark side of blue. Now it's time for a different kind of blues. Pulled us back and straight. I'm at the starting gate, yeah. My next echo, my next best friend. I'm getting back in the game again, and there I was in Hollywood Boulevard, going to school right across from Hollywood High School. And I didn't know what I was doing. I was the worst kid in school, probably 120 kids. I had to be 119, and I didn't know what I was doing, but I had something. I had grit. I had grit, and I could do something, and I could make it happen, and I did, and I hung in there, and you know, I just eventually I started getting some work as a musician, and eventually I could play a little bit, and then and then and then I started getting more work into some really good sessions. You know, when you're a studio musician, you know, if you don't know what a studio musician is, you know, if you've ever seen The Voice or America's Got Talent, you know, we're the musicians that are behind the curtain. You know, the guys that you don't see. Well, after a while, I started doing pretty good. The first stage that my using was, "Hey, this is fun," pretty innocent, but we're starting to get ready to enter a new stage. Stage 2. This is where I discovered cocaine, game changer. Cocaine was the very first drug. I could not control the quantity I used, could not control how much money I spent on it. I could not control what I was doing when I was doing it. The drug was in control of me. Stage 2 is, uh-oh, what just happened? You know, and all kinds of things were happening, you know. And it wasn't so funny. I mean, I found myself in places with people and doing things that I didn't want to do. I mean, on a lighter note, you know, I had a friend that had the stuff, right? And he gave me the key to his place. And I knew he had the stuff, and I had to figure out how to get the stuff. And so I cooked up this plan. He was going away for the weekend. I had the key to his place, and I thought, here's what I'll do. I'll break in. Yeah, and I'll make it look like, you know, I'll make it look like somebody broke in and stole this stuff. So, you know, I had this plan. I did this thing, and I got in there, and I got the stuff, and I did the thing, and the whole thing. And you know, he came back on a Monday, and he said, "So let me get this right. Somebody broke into my place." I'm like, "Yeah, somebody broke into the place," and they took all the stuff. Yeah, man, they took all the stuff, but they didn't take my TV. Nope. They didn't take my VCR or my stereo. Nope. They didn't take that big jar of change that was on the kitchen counter, man. Nope. They didn't take the steaks in the fridge. Nope. They only took that box with the stuff on it that was wrapped in the pink blanket and the thing and the behind the bed that only you and me knew about. And I went, yep. And it was the first time I ever bold-faced lied. The first time I ever bold-faced lied about my using. Now, if you're out there and you're in recovery, I think all of us know that time where there was a change, where you had to come to that place in yourself where you know, man, this is a different place. Something is different here. And that was it for me. I knew that I was in a different place then. I knew that I had done something different. I was in a different place. Stage 2. Uh-oh. What just happened? Well, my career in LA was progressing. I was with bands that had major label deals and had this nagging little problem, and it kept creeping in and people knew about it, there was no way to hide it. And it didn't help me. And eventually, word got around and my career was being sabotaged by it. So what do? Here's what I did. Of course, I couldn't admit the problem. It's not me, man, right? Because at this point in time, my language is, hey, man, I got this. Leave it up to me. This is my problem, right? You hear what I'm saying? Me, my problem. I got this. Leave it up to me. This is my problem, right? Those are my pronouns right there because I couldn't admit that I needed help, right? So guess what I did? It was a geographic relocation. That was going to solve my problem. If I just get back to Ohio, that's going to be it because, it's not my problem. It's that guy. He's got my number. And this guy, he's the problem. And he goes, these people, every time I go there, they pour too heavy. And you know what I'm talking about if you're out there, right? So I hightailed it back home to Ohio. That's what's going to help me. I got to get out of LA. Because it's me, man. It's California. Well, we all know that. If you're an alcoholic or an addict like I was, you take yourself with you when you go. By now, I've got a baby on the way, and things are getting more complicated for me because it's not just me in tow. Pressure's mounting. Still, though, I got this. Leave it up to me. It's my problem. Still stage 2. I got this. So I head home to Ohio, and things are not going well for me because I'm back home. Nobody knows my name. I'm just some guy that said he did all this. I was in those bands and I made records. Yeah, nobody cares. So I get in a blues band, and it's blues and booze for me. Feeling pretty low, pretty at the end. But I got a lucky break. Working at a music store, I got news that they needed some people at a local corporation that sold microphones. And I applied and I got one of the life-changing breaks for my life because I got a job at a really great company. Game changer. So I got my act together a little bit. I had to clean up my act. Put on a jacket, put on a tie. Hey, start making some money. Doing good. Respectable. Start traveling a lot. That's not right. And then I got an accessory which did not help me. I got a company credit card. Uh-oh. Entertaining clients. Uh-oh's right. I also got a job playing guitar with a local legend, a guy named Michael Stanley. And it was funny how I had to come back to Ohio to really seek and get the satisfaction of the musical recognition that I always wanted. But I'm close to stage 3 of my drinking. Me down on my knees. I wrote down some dates. '98. First time in AA. I'm in a band with a guy that is in a 12-step program, and one night he comes to me after I'm having a bad night. He says, "Hey man, you might need some help." I agree, and I start on my program. But guess what? I wasn't bought in, and it didn't work. 2009, the lowest point of my life, my marriage falling apart. I ended up in the 6400 unit, and I'm not going to go into that, but that was a place where I should not have got myself into. I tried to harm myself. 2013, I ended up in the ICU. You know what happens when a type 2 diabetic drinks straight vodka for 11 days and only eats a Burger King chicken sandwich? I know. I like to joke around. I used to joke after that and say, "Whoa, a Burger King chicken sandwich could have killed me." It's not funny. It's not funny. This is the back door to my heart. Oh, but don't you tell a soul that I've given you the keys to these rooms inside of me. Don't you let nobody know. This is the color of my pain, dusty blue and midnight rain. I might be asking for too much, hoping somehow with your touch you can make these colors fade. Oh, the end of the world, just around the corner, knocking at my door. I'll be gone by morning. You only come inside me, take a candle to the dark. This is the back door to my heart. Oh, yeah. See these lines on my face, too long standing in the wind, a testament to my mistakes, the choices that I made. I won't tell you where I've been. Oh, the end of the world, just around the corner, knocking at my door. I'll be gone by morning. Only step inside me, yes, take a candle to the dark. This is the back door to my heart. This is the back door to my heart. This is the back door to my heart. Well, at this point in time, I believed I was finally willing. Finally willing. But right now, I want to read you a little bit of a quick story about willingness. And it's about a car. I call it the car story. And I'll do it quickly. There's a well intentioned guy, but he's perfectly flawed. And he has an old car. It's neglected over the years. And his vehicles need a repair for some time. But the guy just keeps putting it off. He just does. He's going to get it fixed, but he knows that the car's still running, that keeps breaking down all the time, but it's a pain to get it to the dealer, and it's expensive, and the guy at the car dealer is a pain, and it's just kind of hard to get it done. But it's hard to find the right time and place and situation to get that doggone car fixed. But lately, that car seems to fail at the worst possible times, and it causes misery and irritates his family and friends. Things are getting worse, but he still does nothing. Time and again, he just does nothing. You're catching my drift. That car kind of sounds like my problem at this point. So one day he finds himself in the middle of the road, and guess what happens to that car? It breaks down, right? And it's a narrow lane in the heavy traffic, and the lane is stacked with cars, and he's waiting to get flagged through. And guess what? Yeah, he's the guy. He's that guy that's blocking everybody, causing the problem, and everybody's worried about him, right? The guy with the car that's breaking down, that finally can't get it fixed, right? And he's stuck in the middle of the road, and everybody's, honking their horns, and the guy finally, once and for all, has to admit he's that guy. He's the problem. The problem's him. And he sits there and he listens to everybody around him, and he finally realizes that he can't fix that problem on his own. And he has a moment of surrender. Well, if you're in a 12-step program, that's step one. You got to admit that you're powerless and you can't fix your car, right? And he realizes at that moment that he has to ask for help. And that was me, really, at that moment. I finally admitted I needed help. Well, at the same time, the guy's all of a sudden, here's a knock on the door, and it's his buddy walking down the street. Just so happens to be walking down the street, and the guy's buddy says to him, "Hey, man, is your car broken down again?" And he goes, "Yeah, man, this car just finally broken down." And his buddy says to him, "Hey, you're lucky. There's a guy right down the street, and he's got a garage in the back, and you know what? I think he's there right now, and we can push your car and get it fixed. Dude, there's a guy right down the street, and you can push your car, and we can get my car fixed." "Yeah, man, there's a guy right down the street, and I think he's there, and he can help you push your car. We just got to push your car." "You mean right down the street?" "Yeah, man, we just got to be pushing your car down there." Well, in 12-step language, that's kind of like, you got to believe that there's a power that's greater than you that could fix your car, right? You follow where I'm going here? At that moment, when I finally broke down and needed help, I had to believe that there could be a power that was greater than me, because it could fix my car. Well, here's the important part, and I don't need the rest of the book to tell you this, right? There came a place, like the guy in the car, where I had to make the decision that I needed help. And two, I could no longer do it by myself. But the most important part was here. I had to be willing. So like the guy in the car, he looks at his buddy and goes, "Yeah, man, come on, help me, man. Please help me." There's 3 magic words again. Please help me. Help me fix the car. And I finally said it. Help me push my car and get it fixed. And on June 2nd, 2014, I entered detox at St. Thomas Hospital, the famous St. Thomas Hospital. And if you know your history, this was the beginning. This was the original place where the modern recovery was born, where Dr. Bill Wilson and Sister Ignatia started the modern alcoholic recovery. That's my hometown where it began. And funny enough, that's where I was born. But I entered detox on June 2nd, 2014, and I started my recovery. And that's what happened. You know, it wasn't easy to make that decision. But I knew that something had to happen. And I knew I wasn't in control anymore. And I knew that I had to make a choice. And it wasn't easy. But I was able to do it. The first day, I don't remember much, phenobarbital. Second day, I was able to contain my bodily fluids. That was nice. Third day, I ate some tomato soup. And the fourth day, I started going to meetings. The fifth day, something really happened around midnight. And this is something that I like to talk about very little. But something happened that night. Something happened. It was around midnight when they turned off the TVs. I was talking to a person, and somehow, some way, the words came to me to be able to say something that comforted this person. And they left the room. But before they left the room, they gave me a hug and they said, "Man, thank you. What you said helped me tonight." And I sat down in the room by myself very quietly. And I had a voice. I don't know if it was a higher power, my higher self, my conscience. Maybe it was a phenobarbital. I don't know. But that voice said to me, "You never could get sober because you never did anything to help anyone else. Change that, and everything will change for you." And I made a decision right then and there that if I could stay sober, I would try my best to become a person that would help other people to learn what I know. And that's why I'm here tonight. You see, you may think I'm here to help you all, but actually, you're helping me, you know. So, what I know about sobriety is this. Here's what I know. I've learned this. For me, there's three things. Total abstinence is the only way it works, number one. Number two, what we're doing here together, peer-to-peer support, it's the only way for me. When I'm in trouble, I pick up the phone. When other people need help, I try to be there. And the third thing is you got to give it away to get it. You got to. But I know this. It was only through me being at my lowest moment and going through that I saw the light of day. I'm in this broken body, in pieces on the ground. My spirit's cracked and crumbled. My world's been crashing down. The weight upon my shoulders got so heavy they just gave in, till I could not lift my head up, face another day again. Let a ray of hope come shining, get that coming down tonight. I see all of my tomorrows in the standing in the light. We are high on the hilltop, healing hands touching me now. They will mend this broken body in pieces on the ground. When I left detox, I made a commitment. I made a commitment to a 12-step program, but more than that, I made a commitment to counseling because a 12-step program for me just wasn't enough. And I found that I ran into a tough old bird named Patty who convinced me of one thing that changed my game. She said, Mr. Shannon, you are not a bad person. You're a person who struggles with a medical and a mental health issue, and you can be okay. With treatment, you can recover. Game changer. Because up to this point, I just thought I was a bad person. But everything changed there. But I have learned that sobriety for me is like doing laundry, right? You can't do laundry one time and have clean clothes all the time, you know? Again, it's a process of change. It's an improving myself, health and welfare. It's self-directed, you know? And I've learned that in order to do that, I've got to work on myself every day. And with that, there's a new day dawning. And I'm going to get this here. I'm going to put this capo on here. And here we go. There's a new day dawning. Hope is rising, find a better way. There's a big sun shining, a silver lining ready for today. Cause what I say, life's what you make it. Get a chance, just take it. We're all just waiting, standing around. And it's happening now. Roll down the window, there's tires, man, it feels so right. Behind me, gonna buy me, gonna drive all night into the beyond light. Life's what you make it. You get a chance, just take it. We're out just waiting, standing around. And it's happening now. And it's happening now. These are the days we live for. The days that shine and shine. And when we grow now. Time is meant to shine, yeah, oh yeah. So what happened then? Things started getting better for me. Stories started to change. I got a job at a writer, and it was cool. I started writing some stories. They turned into a book called Sober Chronicles. How about that? 26 essays. I put out a record. Walk This Road. Then another. Sober Chronicles. Lucky 7. During the pandemic, I created a one-man show. It was okay. It sucked a little bit. It was all right. It wasn't terrible. All right, I embarrassed myself a little bit, but it's all right. We can do that. I became a CPRS, which is a recovery coach. Licensed peer recovery supporter. See, I just read it. It is. It's really cool because somehow, some way, the state of Ohio appointed me a member of the County of Summit ADM board. I don't know how that happened. Still don't know how that happened. I'm a Substack scribbler with over 1,000 subscribers. I don't know how that happened. I updated my book, 26 essays, Sober Chronicles 2024. I'm producing a new record for a group. I got a friend named Michael. He's on the other side over there. He's looking at me like going, what are you talking about me for, man? He's waving at me. And I'm 11 years sober at this point. I got a wife. I got a family. I got real friends, not deal friends. And every day I stay standing and keep moving. And I'm going to tell you one more thing I'm going to do. I'm going to tell you right now, my life in recovery is like this pencil. And let me tell you why my life in recovery is like this pencil. Now, this pencil is a really useful tool, but something has to happen to it, right? It's old school, not mechanical. But in order to use this pencil, what do you got to do, everybody? You got to sharpen it, right? You write for a little while. What has to happen? You got it. You got to sharpen it again. You know, you simply can't use it for a while until you sharpen it again. And my life in recovery is just like that. I have to keep on it. It's not a one and done. I write for a while and I sharpen, and I write for a while and I sharpen. Now, the other end of this pencil is one of my favorite parts about being in recovery. This is the eraser. You know what's cool about this is I get to turn my mistakes into lessons. I know that the things I have done in my past are not going to weigh me down anymore. They're lessons, not mistakes. Holidays are coming up. I know if people are going to go hard, I don't have to go to that party. Or I go early and eat the roast beef and the shrimp. I know there's a certain grocery store I don't go to anymore because Santa's calling me, come on, baby, let's party. I know that was a mistake, but now it's a lesson. So once I sharpen my pencil, and once I learn that my mistakes are now lessons, here's the best part is I can use this tool to rewrite my story. I can change the ending. All of us in recovery have the ability to start now. We can never go back and change our story. What's behind us cannot be undone, but we can always start now and change our endings. Thank you so much for being here with me tonight. I am so honored to be here. And thank you to all the members of the team from Work at Health for giving me the tremendous honor for being here with you tonight.
Marc Lee Shannon, everyone. The honor is ours, and I've that was the fastest hour that's happened to me in a long time. I'm just in awe of the way that you blend your music with storytelling and just keep us riveted. Um, I have been watching the chat come in. Of course, I'll make sure you get a manuscript of that because it's amazing. People are sharing resonance, saying that music heals, and of course, they have a lot of great questions for you, Marc. And I know you said you'd take a few, and so I would love to throw you some heavy hitters. And shout out to the workers online right now. I see you, and I'm so glad that you are here. Um, all right, this one's from Brent. Marc, in your journey, what has been the hardest truth to accept, but also the most freeing?
The hardest truth for me to accept is that there will be people that I love that cannot see that recovery is possible, that cannot see that what I struggle with is, in fact, a medical and a mental health issue. They just don't accept that what I struggle with is a disorder. They think it's a willpower thing. And there's nothing I can do about that because that's the lenses they look through things through. And I just live in my own understanding of that. But I also give them grace and forgiveness. I have the best freeing thing I've learned is that um, if I learn to forgive, then I lose that resentment.
Mm, mm. Beautifully said. Here's a question that is relevant to my interests as well. Were you afraid when you got sober that it would change your creativity and how you made music, maybe how you wrote, that you would never be creative again if you got sober?
Yeah, it was like freaked me out, you know? And there was a lot of fears, but then all of a sudden, what really blew my mind is all these cool sober people started showing up and going, dude, what are you talking about? There's tons of us out there. There was tons of sober musicians, sober painters, sober businessmen, sober lawyers. All of a sudden, when I opened up my eyes, there was a huge community of sober people. I just hadn't seen them before. And they were like, yeah, dude, so what, man? I was just blown away by how many sober people go, yeah, dude, I got 20 years. Yeah, dude, I got 8 years. And still to this day, I just saw somebody just recently and I just kind of casually went, yeah, man, I just celebrated your, oh, yeah, dude, I got 12. What? They, there's so many people that are sober that once I just kind of came out with just not wanting to drink, they were just like, oh, yeah, man, no big deal. I'm sober too. And it was just so freeing that yeah, I have to admit that at first there was, while I was going through some post acute withdrawal, my brain wasn't working the way it was, but that's just healing. I mean, if we had any other sort of change in our life where, we were making, an adaptation with our body in any way, right? Sure. There's a little bit of an adjustment period, but I think that's a transition as we learn, as we grow. But if you're if we're having faith that we're on the right path, you know what I mean? It all came back and it did not take long for me at all to be right on the path. And in a lot of ways, it's better than ever. It just keeps getting better. It really is.
Along that line, what is one of the most exciting things that has happened to you since you've been in recovery?
So, one of the most exciting things for me is um this is hard, but I finally learned to love myself. And that was the hardest thing because I covered it up for so many years and wanted to be numb because I just didn't feel I was a good person. I kept thinking that I was a bad person. And I think that was really the root symptom of why I used and why I struggled with so many mental health issues is I even when I was a kid because of the, adverse childhood experiences that I went through and a lot of us do childhood trauma just felt different than everyone else. I just never felt like I belonged. I didn't have a category that I belonged to. So I always felt like I was on the outside. But when I got sober, it was a loving myself process. It still goes on, right? But it's a continuing process for me of good mental health care. I mean, nobody would think twice about going to the gym and getting in shape, right? I mean, yeah, we do that. Yeah, I look good. But when we start talking about mental health care, you know what I mean? It's such a different stigma for people. But I am such a proponent of constant good mental health care. Listen, man, you don't go to the gym last year and be in shape this year. And it's the same with good mental health care. So for me, the prize for me was learning how to love myself. That was the biggest prize. And if I'm looking down here, it's because that's where the monitor is, not over there.
Um, letting that one resonate. Some of us don't get there, right? So um, that is absolutely one of the most exciting things that can happen. And like you said, just continue to sharpen it, right? Keep sharpening that pencil. Um, whew. All right. And then I want to end you on an easy one so we can nerd out a little bit. What guitar you got there? What kind of guitar are you using that made us these lovely melodies tonight?
54 Gibson ES-125, right? And this is my pride and joy. I've had it for a long time, and it is just it's got a story, and I'll tell you the story. and it's a little bit of a naughty boy story. Okay, so I got to tell you a little bit of naughty boy story. So I call this my St. Peter guitar. Okay, because I was working in a music store, and it came in and it was all beat up and stuff, and the owner of the store didn't want it. And when the guy came in, and it was like I knew it was a good deal, so I told the guy, I'll meet you later. And this is a naughty boy story, so I'm not really happy about myself. But I made a deal for the guy, and it wasn't a very, very good deal for the guy. But I did it. Okay. So it was actually a bad deal for the guy. So I always say that if I get to heaven, if there's a St. Peter at the gate, he's going to say, Marc Lee Shannon, you were a good man, but that ES 125 deal, you go sit over there for a while and think about that deal you made with that guy. So I call it my St. Peter guitar. But I try to make up for it. No, it's just an awesome, awesome old vintage Gibson guitar. And I just love playing it. It sounds great. And it really just suits my vibe of cool, vintagey, and just really super, super cool. But it's an old guitar. It's older than me. It's really cool.
It is a beaut too,
Mm-hmm.
I
So
gotta
cool.
say. All right, y'all. We're wrapping up now, but I want to make sure that I announce the giveaway winners. So just first names, but I want the following folks to know that they are getting sent a signed copy of Sober Chronicles. That is John, Patricia, April, Heather, Kathy, Tracy, Rebecca, Adam, Michael, and Sheena. So I'll be emailing you to get your information so that I can send that out to you, along with some Work at Health treats, of course. And then we've got 3 folks that are getting the Marc Lee Shannon bundle, and that's of course the record, the book, and the CD. That will be going to Brittany, Stacy, and Daniel. So congratulations to you all. And Marc Lee's got some great merch. I suggest you check it out at marcleeshannon.com. And also, I want to make sure that you're able to stay connected with Marc. So please give him a follow. His social media handle is at Marc Lee Shannon. Make sure the Marc is with a C. Um, and you can right after this hop on to any streaming service and listen to his music. I've been doing it for the last couple of months, just extraordinary stuff, again reminding me why I keep going, because music was there for me when I was trying to get sober. It was there for me when I got sober, and it continues to keep me going. And of course, if tonight sparked something for you and you're looking for support with alcohol or other substances, Work at Health offers online treatment that you can access from home, including medication therapy, groups, and community. I'm coming up on 8 years sober, and I got sober online despite many, many other efforts. It can happen, y'all. And on behalf of Marc Lee Shannon, the First
Bravo.
at Grants team out in Ohio,
Hmm.
and all of us here at Work at Health, thank you for spending this evening with us. This will be online and available to you all. And take care of yourselves. And we'll see you next time. And again, Marc Lee Shannon, thank you for sharing your strength, your talent, your gifts, your light.
Thanks, Max. Thanks, Work It. So honored to be here. Thank you, Michael Weber.
Yes, thank you, Michael.